So one of the hardest things to keep warm on your body when you're cycling in the winter is your feet. In this video, I'm going to take a first look at two winter cycling boots, the 45 North Wolvhammer Redwing edition and the Trek Old Man Winter boot. Find out what I like and dislike about these boots so far. Welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, and if you're new to the channel, if you love bike touring, gravel cycling, the supple life, then you have found your people. Hit that subscribe button. So last winter, I tried to do as much cycling as possible and really experimented with different ways to keep my foot warm. I used a winter hiking shoe and tried every combination of sock on sock, sock bag sock, toe warmer sock, and I still eventually ended up with cold feet after, over an hour. So this winter, we're not messing around. I'm gonna try out some legit cycling boots. So full disclosure, both 45 North and Trek sent these boots over for me to review and share my thoughts with you guys. I'm gonna be as honest and transparent as possible with these reviews since these things are friggin' expensive and I know it's a huge barrier to entry for lots of you guys. So if you're gonna spend the money, is it worth it? And which one should you get? So let's jump right in. So the first boot I'm going to talk about is the 45 North Wolvhammer Redwing edition. Really nice full grain leather and has that classic Redwing look. In terms of weight, this weighed in on our scales at about 900 grams. So definitely not a lightweight boot. And this boot in general takes its cues from more of a mountaineering hiking boot than it does a cycling shoe, as evidenced by the bigness of it. In terms of closure, it's got this Velcro strap here at the top, and it's a simple pull lace closure on the Redwing version. On the standard version, it uses a boa closure. In terms of usable temperature range, they state it's usable between 0 and 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Looking at the bottom of the shoe, it's got a nice white rubber, which is actually fairly soft and nice to walk on. I'll actually get into this a little bit more later. And it's also designed so it will take SPD cleats if that's how you want to run them. I personally probably actually won't use it as a cleated boot just because when I do a lot of riding here, there's a lot of post holing, a lot of walking. And also I want to see if this boot can be used as a general winter boot. You're making that investment, can it serve more than one purpose? For sizing reference, I'm usually a size 9 and using the very handy fit tool that they have on the 45 North website, which I highly suggest you guys use. I ended up requesting the size 43, which is actually a pretty good fit. 42 would have been too snug. 43 allows me to use a medium thickness sock. If I wanted to really use a larger, thicker sock, 44 would probably have been the better choice. And for price, initially when this shoe launched, the MSRP was $345, so about $20 more than the standard non-Redwing version. Online, if you do a quick search, it looks like you can get this shoe anywhere between $280 to $300. So the price has come down, making this competitive to the regular BOA shoe. So now moving on to the Old Man Winter Cycling Shoe by Trek. So this shoe weighed in at 711 grams, so considerably lighter than the 45 North. In terms of closure, this too has a Velcro strap, and this has a BOA closure, as opposed to the pull lace on the Redwing edition of the Wolvhammer. The outsole is all Vibram, and although it is cleat compatible, it actually ships with this SPD cleat cover, so if you're going to run it on flat pedals, you have the cleat cover there covering up that gap, which I think is a nice touch, which I actually wish the 45 North boots included as well. One big difference between this boot and the Redwing boot is how you get it on. The Old Man Winter actually comes with this neoprene and wool bootie that you slip on initially and then take your whole foot and cram it into the shell boot, essentially. In terms of suggested working temperatures, they say 10 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So similar upper range as the Wolvhammers. In terms of the lower end of things, 10 degrees for the Old Man Winters and 0 degrees Fahrenheit again for the 45 North. So for sizing, again, size 9, I requested the Old Man Winter in a 43, so supposedly the same size, but clearly not. Old Man Winters sell MSRP for $2.99. So at the end of the day, both of these about the same price. Which one is right for you? Well, we'll find out. Once again, I want to emphasize that this is just a first look. I've only had a couple really short rides in both these boots. But all that said, there are already some really clear differences between these two shoes. The first big one is sizing. Both of these are supposedly a size 43 European, but both of them feel very different on the foot. I would say that the Wolvhammers are definitely more generous in terms of the toe box. If you like a shoe with a lot of toe splay, then the 45 North is definitely the way to go. Whereas the Old Man Winters, this is a small 43. And in trying these on, I can only use these with a relatively thin sock, whereas with the 45 North, I can get away with a medium thick sock. So if you've got a higher volume foot or just want to run thicker socks, 45 North, the better option, or size up 2 sizes with the Old Man Winters. I think in terms of lace and closure system, it's about par. I think it's maybe a little bit easier to get a tighter fit with the BOA lacing as opposed to the pull lace on the 45 North shoe. In terms of the outsole, I find the 45 North ones a little bit softer, a little bit more forgiving. I've actually done a fair amount of walking on this one and it was fairly comfortable. Old Man Winter, however, I feel like the platform is definitely a lot narrower and also a lot stiffer. The Old Man Winter is definitely optimized more towards cycling and less walking. Not to say that you can't walk on this, but between the two, if you find yourself doing a lot of post-holing or want to use it more around town, then the 45 North boot might be the better investment. One small thing that I actually really like about the Old Man Winter shoes, which I wish the 45 North shoes had, was this cleat cover. It seems so simple, but I think it makes a ton of difference in terms of using this with a flat pedal. There's just not that gap or the rattling sound. I've noticed when I walk around with these, because of the cleat attachment, it tends to move around. It sounds like I've got jingle bells on my feet. In terms of getting into the boots, I found it far easier to get into the 45 North. It just opened up a lot more, a lot roomier. So if you've got a high instep, this is definitely the easier boot to get into for me. Whereas with the Old Man Winter, because the fit is so tight already, with a thin sock, I'm squeezing into the liner and, kind of just mashing my way into the boot. So knowing what I know now, if I were to request this boot again, I would definitely go another size up to at least the 44. So that's 2 European foot sizes up from my normal 42. One kind of unique advantage of the Old Man Winter is a removable wool/neoprene bootie. If you tend to sweat in the boot, and are gonna take this bike camping overnight, you can take that bootie in with you into the tent so it doesn't get all crunchy and frozen the next morning. Whereas with the 45 North, it's, the whole liner is built in there that has the potential for freezing overnight. So my first general impressions, both of them are great boots. I think the Old Man Winter is definitely optimized more as a cycling shoe. Think of it as like a beefier, bulkier, burlier cycling shoe that you can sometimes happen to walk in. Whereas with the 45 North, it feels like a winter boot that you can happen to cycle in. I think generally between the two, the 45 North in this version is a lot more pliable, a lot more flexible, and more comfortable to walk in. If you know that you're gonna clip in and want a really stiff sole so it feels efficient cycling, then the Trek Old Man Winter. Once again, first impressions, haven't put too much time outside in really cold temperatures, but we've got cold weather on the way, and I'm gonna let you guys know which one I can last longest outdoors. So if you wanna know the results of that testing, be sure to subscribe. I'm gonna do a whole slew of videos on winter cycling. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions for what kind of winter cycling videos you'd like to see. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. Consider supporting the channel, and as always, keep the supple side down.